After a wet and wild Trans Am round at Road America, the series heads to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Some new players, some new looks, and some teams who've been working frantically trying to find a perfect blend of performance and power. Trans Am is in the latter stages of this season. Every point matters in these championship chases. The Trans Am Series, America's Road Racing Series, feels its need for speed. Next. Welcome to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We're in Lexington, Ohio for the Trans Am Series, America's Road Racing Series. Today, it's the three-dimensional services Next Dimension 100. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. NASCAR star Michael McDowell is alongside, and Greg Creamer has our coverage today on Pit Road. Second of our telecast this season, and a huge storyline for Trans Am. Nearly 60 cars on the grid today. This huge field will take the green in just a couple of moments. One of the biggest stories in many years unfolding over the past couple of weeks. You recognize this name. Former Trans Am champion Tommy Kendall is back, driving car number 11 in a Dodge. How are you? Great to see you.
Who says you can't come home, huh? This is like old times. I wish we had a little more time. I feel like some of the final exams I went into at UCLA, not as prepared as I'd like, but it's great to have the car out, see the reception. I'm honored to be running kind of the Sam Posey tribute paint scheme. Hello, Sam. And, just excited to get back to my roots. We got our work cut out for us because it's a tough bunch, and we're in the early stages of understanding what the car wants. But honored to be back, and as is Dodge.
Cool to have you back, no question. A guy who's won here in the past a couple of times. Many other great stories in this field. It stretches way past this corner. Let's find out about the fast qualifiers this weekend. Up front to Greg Creamer.
Tommy Dreese not running the full season here, but one, he's always mindful of his sponsor. He's got a little help, making sure that's obvious. But Tommy, something about you in Mid-Ohio and these big bore, powerful cars, your second consecutive pole here. You had a great run until you hit some problems last year. You're not in the points championship, so is this all about win?
Yeah, it's all about the win. And you know what, with all due respect, not getting in the way of Ruman and Doug running for the championship. So what I'd like to do is try to go and not look back, but there's going to be traffic, and these guys are pretty quick. Doug is really good on the long run. I was a little bit better in qualifying on the short run. I love these cars. Trans Am. Trans Am. Tommy Kendall's over there in the TA2 car. You know, this series is coming up, and you got to beat somebody. When you win here, you got to beat people, you know. So I'm looking forward to it. Greg, love to hear you.
It's good to have you back, my friend. Always a pleasure. You know, he's got a big decal of this on the back of the car for everybody that's chasing him. But what he wants is, as this race finishes, to see a lot of people see this decal up front as he's putting them a lap down.
Well, we'll see if Tommy Dreese can make that happen. Michael McDowell is alongside. Great to see you once again. Mid-Ohio, one of these terrific, legendary road racing events.
Oh, it's going to be an unbelievable race today. You know, on Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, to have almost 60 Trans Am cars on a tight, twisty, technical track, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Simon Gregg, Amy Ruman will make up row 2 in the three-dimensional services Next Dimension 100 lineup. These big bore Trans Am cars qualifying up front. Amy has won here before. John Bauckham from Charlotte alongside Cliff Eben from Wisconsin. The TA2 category really growing with these two new Dodges.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I think the TA2 is going to be the future of Trans Am. It's just a great entry-level car that you can get into. It's economical, and I think they're going to put on a good show.
Kerry Hitt, the veteran, and Tom Smith back in the 5th row. Those are TA cars, the traditional big bore, 800 horsepower, 2,500 pound race cars. Dane Smith, Jim McAleese as well. We'll get to the TA2 grid here in just a moment. Of course, TA3, International and American Muscle also in our field. Tim Rubright in the 77, Alan Lewis in the 15, back in row number 7. And then we've got 3 more entries in Trans Am. Michael McDowell, as this field snakes its way up toward the keyhole here. What a great racetrack Mid-Ohio is.
Oh, it is. It is one of the great American racetracks. Road America, very different than Mid-Ohio, but Mid-Ohio is a tight, technical racetrack. You got to hit your marks, and it's very easy to make a mistake.
About halfway through the season, 6 rounds complete. Here's your point chase in Trans Am. Doug Peterson, the defending champ, just 14 to the good over Amy Ruman.
Yeah, this is not over by any means. You have 3 competitors that are really fighting for this championship, and it's going to come down to the wire.
Simon Gregg also very much in the chase here, and he is a past Trans Am champion. As we take a look at the starting lineup in Trans Am 2, Lawrence Loshak, first time out in this car, very quick. That's one of the Archer Brothers cars. Adam Andretti, a traditional power here. Kevin Poitras, Ron Keith out of Kansas qualifying well in one of Mike Cope's cars. Take a look a little further back. How about Ty Dillon at 13?
Yeah, once again, Ty Dillon getting a little extra seat time at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Not a road race ringer per se, so anytime that he can get on a road course is going to help him to prepare for Nationwide.
One of the two Dodges, Cameron Lawrence, Tommy Kendall's teammate, the points leader, didn't even get a lap on the racetrack. Has to start back at 25th here in TA2. As we take a look at the points, he's still out in front of Andretti, Poitras, and Ron Keith.
Yeah, this is a tough, tricky track, and it is very difficult to pass. But if you have a good car on that long run, you can start to wear people out, and when they make mistakes, you'll be able to move up through the field.
Lawrence, the points leader. We mentioned earlier, we heard from Tommy Kendall. Lawrence and Kendall driving the two new Dodges, Dodge SRT Challengers, will ride with Cameron today, developing this race car kind of on the fly.
Oh, what a great-looking car, too. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch Cameron come through the field.
Cameron Lawrence with a championship at stake, still a healthy points lead, has to come from the back. We talked to him earlier.
We're really excited to be working with Dodge and SRT, and the whole team has been really great to work with already and getting everything prepared. And this is kind of going to be a test day for us, test weekend, and just see how things go. You know, make sure the motor's going to run right, make sure the handling is where it needs to be, and it's just going to be a progression from then on. But we're really excited to be with the team and see where it goes.
Brand new, of course, for Dodge to have this major effort in Trans Am. Here's your TA3 starting lineup. Ernie Francis Jr. has had a lot of success. Jerry Green, Sawinski, Milt Grant, Todd Napierowski, and Lee Saunders, your first six in this one. Full field of the TA3 American Muscle and International category cars. And Mike, these cars put on a great show as well.
58 cars, 3 classes, 2.2 miles. Going to be unbelievable.
It will be wild. Everyone will be chasing at the start a couple of cars fielded by Tony Ave. Greg caught up with him earlier.
Your 2 cars for your team sweeping the front row in qualifying. Great job.
Thank you. We've got these 2 house cars plus another 6 that I've built in the field. Supply engines for probably half the field. So Trans Am's a big part of my life still. And I wish I was driving, but it's not bad on top of the pit box when the guys are running that good.
Well, you got to look after the business side, don't you? And obviously, you're looking for something long-term here, and it looks like there's just tremendous potential.
Exactly. I don't need to be driving if they can win the races, right? So, and trust me, it's all I can handle to keep it all straight. We do a lot, service the transmissions for half the field. So, Trans Am is back, and we've been a pretty big part of that. But hopefully, there'll be more and more of this going on, and I'll just be a footnote as it goes on.
Of course, Tony put on such a great show driving that 4-car when we were at Road America.
Yeah, Tony Ave, very, very great race car driver, but also knows how to build quite a good race car, too.
Green flag on the backside here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for 100 miles of action. On board with Simon Gregg, our driver's seat coverage today. We've got a lot of different looks on board. Here's Tommy Dreese, the pole sitter. He's given up 2 spots already.
Yeah, that was a 3 wide right at the beginning there. So Tommy Dreese set the pole, but fell back to 3rd there. He's got his work cut out.
Amy Ruman takes the early lead in the McNichols Senwell 23. Her dad Bob drove that car for many, many years. Amy, a bright young light in the Trans Am Series, put on a great show at Road America. Doug Peterson in the 87, one of the Ave cars, the 3dimensional.com entry defending champion, winner at Road America. He's the points leader right now, riding 2nd. How about TA2? Adam Andretti to the point of the 44.
And we saw this before. Adam Andretti's been very strong at all these races, led a lot of laps. It's going to be a long day, though. You got to manage your tires, manage your brakes, and be there at the end.
Back on board toward the front of the field. This is on board with the 4-car. Tommy Dreese, the pole sitter. That's the car that Ave was so quick in at Road America. Amy Ruman out in front as we put our first lap on the board into turn 1 here at Mid-Ohio.
And that's amazing first lap for Amy. You know, coming up through the field, already taking the lead. You can tell she wants this championship. She wants this win.
She is from this area, has won a lot of SCCA amateur events here. Headed to the keyhole. She's got a couple of car length advantage. That's Peterson in 2nd. Then Tommy Dreese, Simon Gregg as they head down the backstretch.
Not a long straightaway here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, but long enough that you can get a run on somebody and try to outbrake them into turn 4. Got to be very careful, though, as you enter this corner. If you slip a tire, you can end up in China Beach.
And picking the right line here has got to be tough as well. It's inviting to go down the inside. You can dive bomb there?
You can, and this is one of those corners where it just gets tight really fast. You feel like you have enough room, you get down in the corner, and you can make contact very easy.
Amy Ruman still leading there in the red 23. Tommy Dreese, the pole sitter, in the 4 is 2nd. Peterson 3rd. There's Gregg in 4th. Underneath the Honda bridge, the rest of the TA field starting to fill in behind Cliff Eben, being chased here by John Bauckham out of Charlotte. Our Replay XD onboard look at the 86 car from 6th position. Look at how greasy that windshield is already.
Yeah, this is a great onboard shot. I love riding along with these guys at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Now, one thing that you'll see here is that it's very easy to just say, I'm going to stick my nose in there, because the corners are slow enough that you can do that. But it tightens up fast. You got to be very careful. You got to keep your fenders on your car throughout this race.
Last couple of corners onto the front straightaway here, and finding the entrance to pit road is tough for some drivers.
It is a very tricky pit road. Not only is it tricky to get into, but it's also to get down to pit road speed is a difficult thing.
Everybody nice and smooth in the early going. First couple of laps are on the board here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Amy Ruman is still your leader in Trans Am. She is the overall leader as well. Dreese chasing, Peterson third, Greg is fourth. Lots of action in Trans Am 2. Fans enjoying the show. More to come. The three-dimensional services Next Dimension 100 returns after this. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. Coverage of the Trans Am Series, America's Road Racing Series with Michael McDowell. I'm Rick Benjamin. What a fight for the lead here in TA2. Loshak and Adam Andretti. Loshak on the high side in the Archer car, trying to get around him. Ron Keith right there in third.
A great three-way battle for the lead going down into Keyhole, and it's not over yet.
Andretti out in front. Take a look back from Lawrence Loshak's machine. One of our Replay XD onboard looks here. He's the pole sitter. That's Ron Keith in that Ford right behind him.
A great three-way battle. That is a great camera shot. Very close. As you enter into this section here, this is where it's very tricky. A lot of elevation changes, blind corners. Very easy to make a mistake.
Andretti in the ECC 44, the engineered components car, still out in front. Loshak, an amateur champion and a young driver stepping out of SCCA national competition, says, hey, I want to give TA2 a try. Puts that thing on the pole, and he's in the thick of the fight.
And putting on a lot of pressure on Adam Andretti right there. He is hounding him.
Rod Keith right there in third, one of Mike Cope's cars. That's the Ford Mustang that Keith has been in all season long. Those top three really going at it on the backside here at Mid-Ohio.
Now, when you come into this section here, you're really thinking about setting up a pass coming onto that front straightaway. Turn one is the high-speed corner that you have on the racetrack. It is a great opportunity to try to outbrake somebody into turn one.
Kevin Poitras in the blue Chevrolet back there in fourth position, the 73 out of Canada, down under the Goodyear Bridge into turn number one. Adam Andretti doing a great job. Back on board here with Loshak. Keith starting to sniff second spot.
And this is, like I said, a great onboard shot as we head down in here into the keyhole. Looks like he might have a shot at it.
Andretti is still out in front. Loshak right with him. Keith is third. Poitras is fourth. Ron Keith looks like he may be being held up by those two Chevrolets. And here's Cameron Lawrence in the other Dodge Challenger, Kendall's teammate. 5 of the first 6 races he's been the winner. Has to bring that car to pit road early.
And like Cameron said early in the show, this is a test for them. They want to see what this Dodge is going to do and be able to get prepared for next year. So there's going to be some gremlins. There's going to be some issues. A great looking car. That Dodge is very nice looking.
On board with Loshak, looking back at Keith, second and third here in TA2. If you're on Keith, as the two leaders go side by side, you can see him trying to hunt a way to get by. Is he being held up by these two guys?
You know, he is, but really, if you're sitting third there and the two cars in front of you are battling out, you're just looking for an opening. You're looking for a mistake for them to get side by side and then pounce. There's not a lot of room to put this 3 wide, so you're just waiting for that mistake to happen.
On board with Tommy Dreese, the Tony Abe 4-car Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie on board here. Chasing the race leader, Amy Ruman, out of the keyhole onto the backstretch.
And Tommy's made up some ground on Amy. You know, he mentioned his car is probably a short-run car. We're very early still in this race, but Tommy Dreese's a veteran. He knows how to take care of his equipment. He knows how to take care of his brakes. I think he's going to be there at the end.
Lapping by the 67, one of the TA3 competitors here today, down into the little kink at the end of the backstretch. Still Ruman leading. These are sprint races, Mike. These are 100-mile races. You're used to 500 miles in a Sprint Cup car or maybe 250 in a Nationwide Series car. How do you approach a 100-mile race?
Well, you do much the same. These cars are heavy. They have a lot of power, a lot of speed, so you can still use your equipment up even in these short races. So you got to manage the tires, you got to manage the brakes, especially at Mid-Ohio. When you don't have a long straightaway to cool off those brakes and all the tight technical corners, it's very easy to get your brakes upset early in the race and they just won't recover.
Check in with Tommy Kendall, the 4-time series champion, multi-time Trans Am winner here at Mid-Ohio. His first outing in a Trans Am car in 10 years, and TA2 kind of a new game for trouble. That's Lawrence Loshak in the 42, our pole sitter. He's gone around coming out of one of the early corners here at Mid-Ohio. Don't know if that'll bring out a caution. On board here with Ty Dillon in one of the Mike Miller entries. Loshak slowly getting back on the racetrack. He must have flat-spotted tires, if nothing else. We've got another look at it for you. Let's see what happened to Loshak here. This is his onboard. Ron Keith right behind.
He just gets into the corner a little bit too deep, gets wide into marbles and spins. The fact that he spun out and did not hit anything there is amazing.
Is that car control or luck?
That's luck. I will take luck every single day right there.
So Loshak back in the gas, no full course yellow. Meantime, it's still Amy Ruman out in front. Tommy Dreese a couple of car lengths behind. Still in the early laps here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Third spot belongs to Doug Peterson. 3dimensional.com on that car. They, of course, are our race title sponsor as well. A Replay XD onboard look here with Dreese on the backstretch.
Well, now we're encountering a lot of lap traffic, and this is going to make the race interesting. You have 3 classes, all different speeds, and how you navigate. Whoa, Dreese runs a little bit wide there. See, it can mess up your rhythm. You have a couple cars that are slower. You try to pass them. You got to stay focused. You got to make timely passes, and when you do it, you have to execute with authority.
One of the all-time greats, Tommy Kendall, driving that Dodge Challenger, 8th right now at car number 11. How did Dodge come to be here in Trans Am? We talked to team owner Mike Miller earlier.
Mid-Ohio is a great place to debut the cars, and we're trying to collect some data here, get the cars ready, and we've got our championship run going with Cameron Lawrence, and Cameron switching cars, and then we brought back the great Tommy Kendall into Trans Am, which is a tremendous coup for us, and we couldn't have done that without the help of Dodge and the team over there. The whole Dodge SRT team has just absolutely worked so diligently to get this thing together. All the Miller Racing guys have worked so hard. My crew has just absolutely put in the greatest effort that they possibly could to get this ready. We're so excited about making this change and bringing Dodge back to Trans Am. Trans Am is a venerable home for road racing, and everybody wants to be a part of it now. As you can see, we got 60 cars here this weekend. It's the largest field in the history of Trans Am.
And Dodge is not new to racing. They've won a lot of these races, and so to have them back in the sport is definitely a big thing for Trans Am and for those teams.
No question about it. Mike Miller's team, one of the best in the series, and Cameron Lawrence, with that early pit stop, stays on the lead lap, still holding the championship lead. Tommy Dreese, meantime, in car number 4, still holding station in second spot, trying to track down leader Amy Ruman as they head under the Honda bridge here. Dreese driving that Tony Ave machine with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logos on it. Heavy traffic at this race.
Yeah, and there's going to be all day long. With 58 cars on this Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, you're going to encounter lots of traffic. Amy has done a great job managing the traffic, but you're going to have to do that the entire race.
Heavy traffic in TA2. This is the fight for 4th. Aaron Quine in the orange 69, the Mustang, the 14 of Joe Eben. 4th and 5th right now. Kendall back there. Ty Dillon as well as the field starts to string out, filling this 2.25-mile racetrack.
There's not an empty space on this track right now. It is amazing to see this many cars.
Doug Peterson, the championship leader, filling one of those empty spaces out of turn 1. Before the start today, we talked to Doug about Mid-Ohio and this year's championship.
Yeah, this track is seems a little slippery to us, and there's going to be a lot of traffic. So it's really gauging the traffic, I think, will be the deciding factor who wins today.
Do you worry about Dreese? He's not in the points championship. Do you race Amy only?
I like Tommy when he's in front of me. So yeah, I'm really racing Amy.
Greg Creamer speaking to Doug Peterson before the green flag. Doug, a guy who's been very important in your career, I know.
Yeah, Doug's been very influential in my career. Helped me out early in the years when I was racing Star Mazda. And the thing about Doug is he's helped a lot of young drivers in their career. He loves racing. He loves getting behind the wheel. But he's done a tremendous amount for motorsports in general.
He's sitting 3rd right now. Plenty of time left. Not quite to halfway. Amy Ruman still the race leader. Dreese and Peterson. Simon Gregg and Cliff Eben, your first 5. We'll be right back at Mid-Ohio. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Coverage of Trans Am, America's Road Racing Series, with 3dimensionalservices.com 100 today. With Michael McDowell, I'm Rick Benjamin. Greg Creamer on pit road. You're on board with Tommy Dreese, the pole sitter, running second now in Tony Ave's 4 car. Our Replay XD onboard looks today all over this beautiful Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Some of the heavy TA2 and 3 traffic here as we check back in with the TA2 battle for the lead. Adam Andretti still out front.
Yeah, Ron Keith is right there. That Mustang's been fast all day. He's been pressuring Adam. This has been a great battle for both classes for the lead. Not getting spread out, and with all this traffic, I imagine that we're going to get a little bit more spread out, but the traffic's actually helped keep the racing tight. I think we're going to see a great finish.
As Amy Ruman pulls away out of turn 1, let's get on board with Simon Gregg and Jim Durhag Chevrolet. This beautiful new Corvette C7 bodywork. Gregg, a former champion, he's fighting the traffic here too.
Now that was an unbelievable shot. You can't imagine what the closing rate speed speeds are between the different classes. So to come up into turn 1 and have 3 or 4 cars that are in a different class slower than you is a very big challenge.
Chuck Cassaro, who's leading the championship in TA3, having to give way to some of the faster cars. One of our Replay XD onboard looks today on the backstretch. I want to thank our friends at Replay XD for helping us with our driver's seat coverage today here in Mid-Ohio. How do you maintain your rhythm if you're in one of the slower category cars?
You know, it's very tricky. You're racing too, and you have positions that you're fighting for, and you don't want to just pull over and give up spots. But at the same time, if you get past in a bad spot, like coming up through these S's, you're going to lose 1 or 2 seconds. So you need to be thinking about where those faster cars are, how you can give a little bit so that you don't lose a lot.
On board here with Lawrence Loshak, looking back at the 12, being driven again today by Ty Dillon. That's one of Mike Miller's cars. Dreese back with us meantime, starting to reel in Ruhlman now as they hit traffic.
Now for fans, I want you to get an idea. There is 9 cars in front of the leaders here. They have to navigate through each of these cars. Amy has to hold off Tommy Dreese in that process. This is very, very exciting racing.
Flagman wearing out his right arm, holding up that passing flag today, that blue flag with the stripe down into 1. 2 leaders here. That's Ruhlman in the red 23. This is Dreese in the 4.
Yeah, these onboards are great just to watch this all unfold. And like I said, they're 3, 4 wide, slower cars. Tommy's got to run here, but once again, there's nowhere to go. So you have to be calculated.
Whoa.
You got to make, ooh, that was definitely close. You got to make good decisions. Just like we saw there, you can end your race in a second.
No question about it. The 02 car started to take a look to the inside. He realized that Dreese was there, had to get out of the gas, and Tommy able to stay with the leader.
I'm just going to sit back and watch this. This is unbelievable right here. So many cars navigating this course and still racing for position as she runs up on Tommy Kendall.
Lawrence Loshak, meantime, runs out of racetrack. This is Tommy Kendall's rear view on board. He and Dreese here. This is not a fight for position. Dreese trying to find his way by the Dodge. Oh, and they get into each other.
Now that is a spot that is hard to get 2 cars through. Luckily, Tommy Kendall, veteran, gathered it back up. Tommy Dreese, take a deep breath, and we'll start over and try it again.
Up onto the front straightaway here in Mid-Ohio. Out in front is still the 44 in TA2. That's Adam Andretti. Right behind him is Ron Keith out of Kansas and Mike Copes 25, the on-site services entry. Keith trying to find his way to the lead here.
And Keith's been all over Adam all throughout the last few laps. Got an outside run heading down into turn 2 here. Very tough to pull on the outside.
Adam Andretti trying to be ever so careful, working his way through the keyhole. Keith, I think, may have a little faster race car at this point.
Yeah, and you can see Keith, he's working hard. He's sliding those tires, trying to get all the traction he can. He's got a little run on Adam here, heading down into turn 4.
Take a look at that brand new Corvette bodywork on Simon Gregg's car. Back on board with the 2nd generation star, former Trans Am champion, headed toward the keyhole here. Simon Gregg, they're working the kinks out of this thing, but the aero numbers pretty good on this new bodywork. That should be a contending car as we work through the season. How about a ride with Ty Dillon in car number 12 in TA2? Mike Miller's team still fielding a couple of Chevrolets. Ty in that 12 car, of course, a Chevrolet driver in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Back to Simon Gregg's on board. Our Replay XD onboard views. He and Ty not fighting for position, but close together on the racetrack.
Yeah, and it's great to see the closing rate. You know, obviously the TA and the TA2, very different straight line speed. But through the corners, they're very similar, so you have to time those passes correctly.
Gregg on the brakes just a little through the left-hander over the hill and down toward 5 and 6 here at Mid-Ohio.
And this gives Ty Dillon a great opportunity to get some seat time to really figure out this Mid-Ohio sports car course.
Back to Tommy Dreese's view as he still tries to track down the machine of Amy Ruhlman, who continues to lead in the Senwell 23, navigating traffic, heading toward the final couple of corners here at Mid-Ohio.
Rick, I don't think we've seen an onboard shot here that didn't have tons of lap traffic. I'm almost getting tired of talking about it, but it is amazing how good of a race this is. And to see all 3 classes navigate through this and race for position is amazing.
Kevin Poitras in 3rd. This is one of Mike Cope's other entries, the 73, a Chevrolet. Poitras out of Canada doing a nice job here today. The Post Plastics entry all by himself, a rare moment. If you get a couple of laps by yourself, you can kind of settle down and think about what you're doing here.
If I was them, I would just take 1 breath. I mean, I think that you've been holding your breath the whole entire race, so if you get an opportunity, you can relax your hands, take a deep breath, take care of your equipment, and just get ready for the next one.
Trouble meantime on the backside of the racetrack. This looks like an engine failure in the Fernando Ceferlis machine. Ceferlis out of Panama. That's the 28 car. That's the CompuLab Panama Chevrolet Camaro. He comes to a stop against the barrier. Yellow flags waving everywhere. That could have oiled down the racetrack.
Oh, absolutely. That was a catastrophic failure. As you can see, a lot of smoke, but more than anything, you have a lot of oil down here.
Amy Ruman is off as well. She may have gotten into some of the moisture there. Looks like she's high-sided that car on the left side of the racetrack.
And that is so unfortunate. You come into the corner, you have no idea that there's oil there. Just really unfortunate for Amy.
On board here with Tommy Dreese. One more look heading down into the kink.
And you can just see there's nothing that she could have done there. She got into the oil, slid right off. Dreese actually got into her a little bit of contact there. So hopefully they'll both be able to restart and get going.
Certainly hope it turns out that way. Full course yellow, Sepharlus with that engine failure going between and behind the wall. We'll be back. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, one of America's iconic racetracks for America's Road Racing Series. Green flag back in the air after the full course yellow for Fernando Sepharlus. Back underway, and the fight is engaged once again up front. Doug Peterson takes over the lead after Amy Ruman's off over on the backside. Simon Gregg now second, and that's Cliff Eben in the white Mustang sitting third.
And Cliff Evans just been buying his time, been waiting for this opportunity. The caution bunched everything back up, had a few misfortunate incidents with that oil down on the racetrack, but now we're back racing.
So Peterson, whose sponsor is the event sponsor, the 3dimensional.com 100 today, on board with Simon Gregg now and Jim Durhak Chevrolet. Second spot, and he's got an opportunity here.
Yeah, and you see a lot of oil dry, a lot of speedy dry down on the racing line. So these cars are going to have to walk through here carefully, take three.
Oh, Simon Gregg gets up into the oil dry.
It's going to take a few laps to get that speedy dry up, but once you do, then you can get back into racing hard.
Simon offline, Cliff Eben right behind him, and that's a fight for second. We were on board momentarily there. John Baucom up to fourth. Amy Ruman did not lose a lap, but she's back in sixth.
Yeah, Amy's still in this battle. She's just got to regroup, get back into her rhythm, pass a few cars, and hopefully at the end be able to mount a charge.
You see our scoring run down top of your screen. Tommy Dreese, the pole sitter who's been in the thick of the fight, had to make a pit stop after that caution, so he does not lose a lap, but he loses a lot of track position. Simon Gregg trying to get close to the leader. TA3 American Muscle, Ernie Francis Jr., youngster indeed, doing a great job in that Chevrolet out in front.
Oh, it's great. We didn't get a great opportunity to see the TA3 much, but it's a great battle happening out throughout the racetrack.
Eben in the 36, in third, trying to track down the second place running Gregg. He's got John Baucom there in fourth, and then Amy Ruman back in fifth position now as she tries to march her way back into contention. Heading to the keyhole, Simon Gregg looking to try to close in on the leader, Peterson.
Well, Doug's done a great job. He is very good at managing these races. As we can see, he doesn't get real frustrated. He doesn't lose his cool, but at the end of every single one of these Trans Am races, Doug's always in the battle.
And he is out in front right now. Simon Gregg trying to protect second spot. Peterson pulling away.
Well, he better enjoy it because in 4 or 5 laps, we're going to be dealing with heavy traffic again.
Meantime, we're hearing that race leader Doug Peterson may have a problem. Greg Creamer on pit road catching up with team principal Tony Abe. What's going on?
I was on the radio with Doug. He's got a little drama with the engine. I think we're on 7 cylinders at times.
Wow, you don't want to be down on power here. Meantime, the fight in TA2, Andretti. Oh, he gets forced off the racetrack.
Oh, and that's the first mistake we've seen from Andretti all day. Been out front. Ron Keith takes the lead.
Keith dives to the inside. Andretti looked like was trying to get around some lap cars and just ran out of room there.
Yeah, I think he might have put himself in a bad spot trying to get on the outside. Lap car didn't see him, ran wide, and unfortunate circumstance.
On board here with Tommy Dreese trying to fight back after that unplanned pit stop. Trans Am 100-mile race. Here's another look at Ron Keith to the inside, taking over the top spot. Andretti trying to come back at him there in the keyhole.
Well, Adam definitely regrouped very quickly there. It's fighting back for that lead.
Ron Keith out in front. One more look at what happened. Andretti in the silver car.
And Adam was really just trying to get around lap traffic, put himself in a bad spot. Luckily was able to recover, though.
Ron Keith says, now's my opportunity. Takes advantage and makes that pass for the lead. For second, meantime, up front in Trans Am, Simon Gregg wide here in the keyhole.
It almost looked like he wanted to let that pass happen. I'm not sure if he's got an issue right now or if he just wants to conserve till the end of the race.
So Cliff Eben moves to 36. The Ford Mustang passed. Down the backstretch, and Eben moves to second spot. Peterson still leading. You heard Tony Abe say they may be down a cylinder at times. That sounds like an ignition problem.
You know, it's a tough deal here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. You don't necessarily need all 8 cylinders, but when one goes away, something bad is about to happen.
So Peterson continues to run up front. We'll keep an eye on the motor problem perhaps in the 87. He's got about a 15-car length lead right now. Cliff Eben pulling away from Simon Gregg. Back to TA2 meantime. How about Tommy Kendall in that Dodge Challenger moving up to 6th? Trying to get into the top 5. First outing for that race car. Well, what a coup it would be. They struggled. They only had a few laps of practice. They had barely shaken the car down. Ty Dillon right there in the 12, though. Mike Miller's Chevrolet putting on a great show, challenging Kendall.
Now Tommy Kendall was sliding that Dodge around, and I can imagine he has a big grin on his face.
For position inside the top 10 in TA2, Dillon trying to make a move here.
Now going to the outside of turn 11 is a brave move. This is going to be a very tough pass to pull off.
Ty gets the job done, passing the 4-time Trans Am champion in his return to the series. Up front, meantime, for the lead, you're watching with Simon Gregg as the lead battle rages.
Well, Doug Peterson had a little bit of lap traffic there, got held up, but I think Doug might be experiencing that motor issue we talked about earlier.
Cliff Evans sweeps by on the inside on the front straightaway and takes the top spot. Simon Gregg in third. John Bauckham is fourth right now out of turn number 1. Evan opening up the lead here.
And Cliff Evans been doing a great job. He's been third, fourth most of the race, now pouncing at the end when it counts.
Doug Peterson settling into second spot in front of Simon Gregg. Evans' car working really well on the inside. He will accelerate away and open up a big lead.
And Doug's just struggling a little bit there. We just had a restart. He's got to just get back into his rhythm and see if he can't get that lead back.
Meantime, trouble for Ty Dillon in the SeaTech Northstar Chevrolet. The 12 running really well here today. They've shut that car off on pit road. Full course yellow coming out. One of the TA3 cars in trouble on the backside. And it looks like Adam Andretti, meantime, has gotten back by the 25 of Ron Keith.
And wow, this has been a great battle for the lead all day long.
No question about it. Now this race, 45 laps or 75 minutes timed. With all the full course yellows, we may run out of time before we get to the end of the lap count. That puts a different element into this fight among the drivers in contention for wins here at Mid-Ohio. We'll come right back to Trans Am. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the three-dimensional services Next Dimension 100 for the Trans Am Championship. One of the TA2 Archer Brothers Chevrolets in trouble. Plenty of attrition. Simon Gregg in Trans Am, third overall. Brand new bodywork on the 59 this weekend. Greg talked to Jim Durhag about it earlier.
C7 is the evolution for the Trans Am series. The C6, C5 was actually started on in 2000, debuted in 2001. So that's been a car that's been around for a long, long time. You know, with the help of a lot of people in a 14-month project, we've managed to put the new C7 together. The Trans Am series is growing in leaps and bounds. We've got the record field here this weekend, 58 cars, and we're very proud to debut the new C7 in the Trans Am.
Beautiful Chevrolet bodywork.
Yeah, that's great. The new C7 looks awesome on the racetrack. Let's see what the performance looks like, too.
Green flag is back in the air. Now we're looking at possibly a timed race, and Doug Peterson on the inside. New fire in the 87 takes the lead back.
This is what I love about cautions. You have restarts, and restarts create lead opportunities. Doug Peterson capitalizing it going into turn 1.
So Peterson maybe catching Cliff Evans napping just a little, and Simon Gregg wants to get by for second spot.
And coming off the keyhole, Doug Peterson extends his lead heading down the straightaway.
One more look into turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, Cliff just got in a little hot, got a little bit wide, and Doug just capitalized on a mistake to take over the lead.
Now, that doesn't happen very often. These are top-flight road racers, but when you see a mistake like that, you need to be in position to pounce.
Well, it just shows how hard you're pushing all the time. You're putting everything to the maximum limit, and sometimes you're going to make a mistake.
Running order in TA2 at the top of your screen. Tommy Kendall back there in 6th right now as we watch Doug Peterson open up the advantage about 5 car lengths in front of Cliff Evans. Let's get on board the 87 car.
And Doug Peterson is a great closer, always good at the end of these races, takes care of his Tony Ave machine. And that's what's important is even though these are sprint races, you still got to be there at the end.
Quick ride with John Bauckham out of Charlotte and his Ford Mustang in 4th. Nice steady race for John today. Starting to close back in on Simon Gregg here for 3rd possible.
And you look at just the debris on the front windshield there. It's sandblasted, it's got oil. It is hard to see out of these cars at the end of the race.
Off the final corner out of the front straightaway, one of the toughest parts of Mid-Ohio. There's Simon in the 59 car in 3rd. Bauckham right behind him in 4th position now. Back on board with Simon. Take a look ahead at the 2 leaders.
And it looks like Doug's stretching out that lead a little bit, but like I said, we're going to encounter lap traffic before this race is over.
Going into the keyhole here, is this one of the best passing places in Mid-Ohio?
It is, but it's very challenging. It's off camber, it's downhill. There's not a lot of grip when you enter into the keyhole. You only need a 1 or 2 mile an hour too much before you slide wide on that corner.
And here you carry a lot of speed going back downhill.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite. As you enter into turn 4 here, you have some banking. You have a nice wide corner that'll grab you a little bit bit so you can be more aggressive heading down into the break zone.
Peterson in the 3dimensional.com 87, the defending Trans Am champion. You can see him push a little bit coming out of that corner. Getting late now. These tires carrying a lot of wear.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we haven't had a pit stop where we change all 4 tires like you see in other forms of motorsports. So when you get to the end of these races, you're slipping, you're sliding, there's not a lot of grip left.
In TA2, Tommy Kendall in that brand new Dodge, the 11, his traditional number for the 4-time champion. Trying to hold off the 33 car of Rogers.
He's running a little bit of a defensive line, trying to protect that position.
And caution on the speedway. Looks like a full course yellow coming out here. Don't know yet what the problem is. Kendall off the gas. We've got a car on the beach there on the right-hand side, as you saw from Tommy's onboard look. Everybody's slowing down now behind Doug Peterson. Lap starting to wind down now, and there's the 8 car, one of the TA3 entries, Joe Rosenheck out of Fort Lauderdale, one of the American Muscle Mustangs. They've got to send the safety car out to tow him as well. So late in the going, we may run out of time on this one. Peterson is your race leader. We'll be right back at Mid-Ohio. Back in Mid-Ohio, still under caution, Michael McDowell. It appears this will be a timed event. All the full course yellows. We will not get the full 45 laps in as we get set for a restart.
Yeah, it's going to be a great battle to the end. Like you said, 75-minute time limit. Not going to get all the laps in, but we've seen lots of excitement. I don't think it's going to stop now.
Contact. Amy Ruhlman gets shoved coming off the final quarter, it appears, and she is in the gravel trap. And that may well bring out another full course yellow.
Oh, man, that is a lot of championship implication there. Doug Peterson's looking in his mirror, seeing these cars battling, but knowing that his championship rival is in the gravel trap is definitely going to change the outcome of this race.
This may be the last lap of green flag racing. We're very close to the time limit here. On board with John Bauckham. He was 4th on the restart, 6th on the grid today. Simon Gregg up in front. Your race leader is Peterson. Bauckham still shown at 4th. Evan with one more shot maybe to get by Peterson.
And like you said, this could be the final laps that we see here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Everybody's going to be pushing hard, trying to get to the end.
Don't know what happened with Amy Ruhlman. She was back there running around Tommy Dreese's machine. Looked like she might have had some help going to the beach. We'll find out. Meantime, Peterson trying to protect the lead on the backside here at Mid-Ohio.
And you just got to be smooth. You got to be calculated, but you have to push hard. And that's what Doug's doing right now. You got to hit your marks. You got to get deep into those brake zones. Don't give your competition an opportunity to pounce on you, but don't make a mistake that can cost you the race.
On board with the 3rd place car of Simon Gregg, the 59 from Jim Durhag, and the caution is waving, so the drivers know. Final couple of turns before the yellow waves full course. Here's a replay. What happens to Amy Ruhlman? Leaders are taking the green. Watch that contact back there.
There definitely was some contact there. It's hard to see from that angle, but coming to the green, a lot can happen.
One more look at what happened. Here's Amy backwards, sliding off the racetrack off the final corner.
Oh.
From Tommy Dreese's on board.
That looks a little bit different, definitely. Now, Dreese there got knocked out of the way, was trying to gather himself up. Amy was just an innocent bystander of somebody else's accident.
So Amy Ruhlman, championship contender, 3rd on the grid, former winner here at Mid-Ohio, and she is stuck in the beach. And there is trouble at the other end of the course as well. David Pintaric's on board. He started 8th today, and he loses it going into turn 3.
It just got in a little bit hot, and now he sits in China Beach.
Wow, so David Pintaric off in the beach, and Amy Ruhlman's car stuck in the sand as well, and the checkered flag will wave. We've run out of time in this 75-minute timed event, and Doug Peterson wins the 3-dimensional services Next Dimension 100 and wins the Trans Am category for team owner Tony Ave.
And Adam Andretti picks up the win in TA2. You hate to see races end under caution, but what a great race it was.
Adam Andretti coming back after being passed by Ron Keith going off course, able to come back and retake the top spot. When we continue here in Mid-Ohio, we'll check the American Muscle and International categories of TA3 and talk to our winners today. Our coverage today being brought to you by Racing Electronics, your #1 source for professional race communications worldwide. Go to racingelectronics.com. And by Replay XD, life's in HD. Replay it. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, one more look at the winning pass here this afternoon as Doug Peterson went to the inside of Cliff Eben going into turn number 1. In victory lane, Doug Peterson hopping out of the 87 car. He's with Greg Creamer.
Undoing all the hoses, all the accoutrement that you have to have wrapped around you here pretty much when you're driving one of these thunderous Trans Am machines. Winner at Mid-Ohio, and I have to admit, look at that, 3dimensional.com, and it's the Next Dimension 100. Boy, you lived up to the pressure, Doug. Get your second win in a row.
Yeah, you know, we set up Tony said, set up the car conservatively. There's going to be a lot of traffic, a lot of in and out. And it was right. The first time he was ever right, but he was right today. And I want to thank Pro Motors and Tony Ave and 3Dimensional.com. What a great company.
Said you had a little bit of a header issue that was giving you a little bit of a spook here and then.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was getting worse. So I was a little worried. You know, Cliffy does a great job in driving, and once I saw him make a little mistake in turn 1 there towards the end, I knew I had him, and that was it. I knew I was done.
And he ballooned that point lead out with not that many rounds left. Looks good for maybe a repeat championship. Way to go, Doug.
Thank you.
So Doug Peterson triumphs today and fighting through that engine problem.
Yeah, that was a great battle that Doug had. And like you said, Cliff made just a small mistake. He's going to look back at this race, wish it was different, but, you know, Doug did a great job of capitalizing.
Cliff Edmond has to settle for second in front of Greg Baucom. There's Amy Ruman back in 14th. How disappointing for her.
And Amy did a great job all day long. She was caught up in other people's circumstances. First to spin in the oil, second on the restart. Not really anything that she did wrong, but just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Tough way to fight that. Certainly after 7 events this championship season, Peterson now extends his lead over Simon Gregg. 33 points is the advantage.
We still got a lot of racing to go, a lot of points to be scored before this championship settled.
And Simon Gregg moves into second. Now here's another look at the battle in TA2. Adam Andretti and Ron Keith in the 25. They fought back and forth, both led. Andretti, even though he had that off, able to come back and score the category win. He's downstairs with Greg Creamer.
Obviously, you had a couple of moments. They said you folded the splitter up, had a huge push. You still bring it home. How did you pull that one out?
That was a wild day, Greg. I mean, what a wild day. Hope the fans, first of all, enjoyed that one. I know I did from my seat. Ron Keith, I can't say anymore. Racing with that guy, he made this one really hard. I mean, we earned this, really fought hard for this, and traffic was the key to the day. And I caught traffic a little wrong, and it put us off course, and I didn't think I even had a splitter left, and we were tight before the splitter got all busted up, and now we're you know, even worse when you got a busted up splitter. So I can't be more proud of ECC Motorsports and Anchor, Bolt and Screw, and their support that they give us to come out here and do this, and my group of men and women that we have to work on this race car and to make sure that it makes it that 100 miles and we can compete even though we're having all these issues and be that fast. I couldn't be happier, Greg. Couldn't be happier.
You said it. It's all about the crew sometimes, but it's all about the driver in this one. Well done.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it, man.
And it was a great battle in TA2 all day long. Adam Andretti persevered there, got the win, even with some difficulties.
Ron Keith ends up second. Joe Eben, John Atwell, Quine and Rogers, Tom Sheehan, Cameron Lawrence. Even though he had to make a pit stop, able to get a top 10 finish. Tommy Kendall disappointed, had problems late. Poitras penalized. He was running in the top 4. Mel Shaw and some of the other veterans. Bob Stretch has to settle for 18th today, former TA2 champion. Kendall back there in 19th. That team will just get better and better and better. And with a champion like Tommy Kendall, we know they've got race wins in their future. Pole sitter Loshak has to settle for 21st, and Ty Dillon with problems in 22nd. Runner-up today has to be a hard one to accept for Ron Keith.
It was a case of survival out there. You were in the mix of it all day.
Oh my gosh, I tell you, this is hard on an old guy, let me tell you. But man, do I got to thank my sponsor, Offsite Image Company, the management there, and they just came on board, you know, at Road America. This is their second race, Mid-Ohio. They're fired up. I got to thank Adam for racing me as hard as he did, and I'm thinking, what an honor to race with Adam Andretti side by side and be out there with him. And I mean, what a great race. I am wore out. I don't know if I can drive home tonight, but this is a memorable moment for me and my career in road racing, so I'm so excited just to finish where I did. I wanted to win so bad. I told Adam, I said, come on, let an old guy win one time. But you know Adam, he's a driver. He's not going to do it. I got to earn it. So maybe next time.
Right, Keith racing with a heavy heart. His dad passed away just a few days before the Mid-Ohio event. He's third now in points behind Andretti. They closed a little ground on Cameron Lawrence.
Yeah, Cameron Lawrence had some issues. Adam Andretti closes that gap, but we still have a lot more racing to go.
Cameron Lawrence perseveres in that brand new Dodge Challenger, finishes in the top 10 to maintain the points lead. In TA3 American Muscle, Ernie Francis Jr. pretty much unchallenged today. Nate Burowski, Jones, we saw Chuck Casaro briefly. Good competition here too.
Yeah, it was a great battle all day long. They had to deal with the most amount of traffic and really fast cars passing them and timing that.
And in international category action, Lee Saunders is your winner over Sawinski and Snow, Berkeley, Milton Grant, Jerry Green rounding out the top 6 in the international category. All right, 7 races complete in the Trans Am Championship season here after the Mid-Ohio Three-Dimensional Services Next Dimension 100. Doug Peterson is your overall winner, your Trans Am winner as well. Some of the other groups here accepting their accolades in victory circle at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Wild battle here at Mid-Ohio.
Oh, it was a great race all day. I truly enjoyed it. Can't wait to see the next Trans Am event.
We are looking forward to 2015 on television for the Trans Am Championship. For Michael McDowell, Greg Creamer on pit road, I'm Rick Benjamin. Congratulating your winners today. Doug Peterson, the overall winner. Adam Andretti in TA2. We'll talk to you next time as we continue to cover the Trans Am Championship.